Yo, it's X. I'm no longer in Cleveland. I've relocated to Dallas, Texas. So this is the first episode here in Dallas, Texas for What's Out Media Group. Today on the show, I have JBthaPreacher. Definitely a
What's poppin'?
renaissance man. Huh?
I was just saying, what's popping? What's popping?
Oh, yes, sir. Yo, this dude is the renaissance man. He's an audio engineer. He's a TikToker, and he makes amazing music. He's got some new music coming up. We may talk about that later on, but Justin, how are you, man?
I'm doing spectacular. You know what I'm saying? Long nights, but like you said, you just keep on moving.
Nice. So what inspired you to get into music? Have you always been into music? Like, where are you from? Like, yeah.
So give you the whole spiel. That's what you're saying. Yeah, so I'm in LA. How did I start making music? Um, once God told me to drop out of UCLA, I went to Azusa Pacific, and that's when I was supposed to have like 3 or 4 roommates, and it happened that none of my roommates were there and no one came. So it was just literally me in the house with God. And so like I came in a second semester, and so yeah, it was like all this free time. And so I was like praying and just like, I was just trying to get, closer to God. And I just use it as like a creative expression, like just to be able to like talk about God and stuff. And so like that was a fun thing to do, like I could worship God while making it a fun thing while singing through my music.
Right.
Um, so that's what I like kept doing and kept doing it, kept doing it. Granted, I haven't made as much music as humanly possible. And there's definitely much more that's coming out that's gonna be crazy. But that was just a little taste.
Nice. So you were originally at UCLA. What were you studying in UCLA? Was this your first year?
Yeah, I was studying sociology.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
first year.
God told you? Was it God's decision that you no longer stay there? Or what were some of the factors?
It was brother, it's a long story. You know what I'm saying? I could paraphrase it.
Yeah.
But when I first got into UCLA, bro, I was the most excited. That was my dream school. Like I did not think I was getting in. Like I poured into school for sure, but did not think I was getting in. It's very low percent to get in. But my family and I, we was jumping around like, yo, yeah, we got in. You know what I'm saying? Like just
Right.
everybody's excited. And so I went to go click on the button to like confirm like I'm going to UCLA. And so I get my phone and I try to press the confirm button, and like it's like a force stops my hand. It's like stops my hand, and I feel this like this weight and this conviction. And God in that moment was like, "This is not what I have for you." But for me, I'm thinking like, "Yo, like it must be something else," because like this is the greatest thing that could happen to me.
Right.
So I pushed through that feeling. I was literally sitting there and I was literally crying. Like I was sitting there crying because I couldn't move my hand further because something was stopping my hand. And my mom came in and she was like, "Why are you crying? Why are you crying?" And I'm like, I want to go so bad, but God doesn't want me to go. And my mom, like she's an older woman, so she's gonna be all about school. She's like, "That's the devil. You need to rebuke that." And
Yeah, right.
so I was like, "Okay, you're right." Even though I kind of like I knew it was God, because the sheep knows his voice. I knew it was God, but it was just easier to not be God.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to UCLA. That was a darker time for me because Trina and I weren't together at that point. My wife, and so like, well, okay, well we were broken up. So like again, like my wife, who I'm married to now, like we broke up before this period, and so
Mm-hmm.
like going into school, I was kind of like, my cousin was like my mentor. like trying to put me on. And he was very in the world, a lot of, partying, drinking, doing drugs, a lot of all of that, like the king of it. Like he's like your top N-word, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And so after I broke up with Trina, he kind of took me under his wing, right? He showed me the ropes, like kind of taught me how to live worldly. And, at that point, because of a prior story, I'll probably talk about that later in the show, but like, I was heartbroken and, yeah, he was there. And so I went to UCLA and I started becoming this whole different person. I was a stoner, like I had a persona, like a don't ever meet persona, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that it's that persona you take on to try to be like this cool, like, just again, like N-word, like, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, at that time, I was still making a little music. Again, like I really developed my music skills in Azusa,
Yeah.
but I had a performance at UCLA because I did a little bit of music. It was more amateurish, but it was very fun. It was just a long time of me just not talking to God, not speaking to God, because of the heartbreak from the breakup with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of like ran away from God and I ran towards the world. And yeah, so I was in it, I was partying, I was deep, you know what I'm saying? But while I was deep, there was this hole in my heart. And like, I would use other things to fill it. I'd use drugs to fill it. I caught myself 2 a.m. on a bus stop by myself smoking, like a really big joint. And I'm just sitting there like, that's when I'm like, damn, like, where did I go? How did I get here?
Right.
But that never stopped me. Only thing that stopped me is one day I was feeling really empty inside. It was like a overwhelming emptiness. And I knew it was from God because that's what made me feel whole, and that idea of purpose. And, so I decided to go to a church. I was like, I'm gonna hit a church. So I go to the church and I tell, oh no, I don't. My bad. I go into the church, like I rehearse the story. I mean, I don't talk about the story that much, but I go into the church, and then I'm sitting in there, like whatever, like okay, cool, like that was a cool service, nothing really touched me, impact me. But when I walked outside the church, I heard in my head, headphones to listen, headphones to listen, headphones to listen. So I'm hearing this a bunch of times in my head, and I'm like, okay, like I recognize this. This is God. Right. And I'm like, God, I don't have any headphones. What are you talking about? So I'm hearing it over and over again. I'm like, okay, this must be a spiritual attack or something. But again, sheep knows voice. I kind of like felt and I just knew. And so I walked back to campus and I went to my dorm, and then somebody was in my dorm and they're like, yo, like, I don't need these headphones anymore. Like, do you need them? And they gave me my headphones. I was like, I was sitting there and I was like, yo, like, I was like, thank you. Of course, they just gave me some headphones for no reason.
Right.
But that moment is what I recognize is no matter how far I went from God, no matter how like distant I was from him, he was never distant from me. He always cared about me. Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm distant from God and he's distant from me. Like he's over there, I'm over here, like I'm doing my own thing, and knowing that God never left, he never, like, he was still there, he was still rooting for me, even though like I took a whole U-turn on him. He was willing to do something that a lot of people don't even get to experience, for me.
And so sometimes God will give you the thing, even though he tells you, hey, like, don't do it. Like he told you, don't press the button for UCLA, just so that you can experience it and see like, hey, man, this is the route that you could have gone. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I know exactly what you're saying, man. And it's crazy when God does that, because it's just like, I'm like, all right, like, this is confirmed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but there was one more confirmation too.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad.
No, there's one more confirmation. This one's pretty crazy. So I walked into a prophetic meeting, of course, like, looking for answers, whatever. And somebody said they had a vision for me when I walked in, and they said, I see this blue and white sign and I see a bunch of red get outs around it. It's like get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. And so they told me this. I never met this person ever before in my life. That's what they were struggling, because they were struggling in their own faith to tell me what they saw, because they thought I was not going to mean anything. But little did they know that meant the world to me, because that blue and white sign is UCLA, right? And a bunch of get outs right there around it. You know, like that person just saw like a little like blurb of blue and white and a bunch of get outs around it. And I just connected. I just knew like that's UCLA. That's where God wants me to leave. And so, I mean, that wasn't even the final thing. I had all that and I still, you know, didn't leave. I only left when, you know, Trina and I were broken up for a long time, and God told me to call her, and I called her. And she was telling me how she, you know, she shut down record deals for God, you know, like how she like had to choose between God and fame and whatever. Right. And that right there, boom, like I was transformed, because just hearing that, like, I don't know, it just like supernaturally switched my mind to like what I need to be focusing on. Because seeing someone else do it, you know, I'm like, yo, like, why am I not doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I care just as much, you know? So,
right.
Yeah. So then I told my mom, yeah, the whole family was.
I could tell. I could imagine. But that's amazing. That's amazing. So what did the comeback look like for that? Because I know there's times I've been far away from Christ, and it's hard. It's not hard coming back, but he'll show you the signs. Like he'll continue to show that he's there. And then once you're like, hey man, I'm giving everything to you, then there's just a shift. So did you have that shift? How was it? I know it's hard though at times, because it definitely could be hard. So how was it?
I think the shift was when I transferred to Azusa, because I asked God, you know, what's next? He said, leave UCLA. I was like, okay, where do I go? And I didn't know, but I do remember back then when I was first asking God which school I should go to, like I kept hearing Azusa in my mind, and I hated it because I want to go to Azusa. I want to go to damn UCLA, but you know what, you know.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really feeling anything or hearing anything, so I just decided to go to Azusa. And I think, again, like I had a large experience. Like I had a long time. I had no roommates, right? I came in at second semester, no roommates. I didn't know anybody. You know, everybody's already friends at this point.
Right.
You know, like there's not a big Black community to just go and lean on. You know, it wasn't like, it was just like me and a bunch of strangers, right?
Yep.
But in this like period of time, all I had was kind of God. Like, you know, like I didn't have a hobby. You know, I wasn't really doing nothing. I would go to school, I would come there and I sit home, and like, I'm not one to just watch TV all day and just like play video games. Like I want to like do something creative and so during that time is when like I was literally talking to God, like he was literally in the room, like every second. Like I'm like, yo, like what you think about this? What you think? Like if someone would have saw me, they would have thought I was crazy. Like I had an imaginary friend.
Right.
But like that gave me like that time period. I didn't start off like that, but that time period really opened the door for me to like not have any distractions. I had no distractions, you know, and sometimes that's what you need. You need 0 distractions in order to, you know, let God in. And so, yeah, that was really kind of the turning point. You know, I had time. I knew that I left for God. So for me, it's like, you already left my promise of a future, a promise of money. I already left that behind. So I got to push harder going the opposite way, you know, like, yeah, why not? You know, like at that point, it's kind of it was kind of like my Isaac moment, you know, like it was something that I would never wanted to have given up. But honestly, what I have now is because I made that decision, and because God decided that for me. So it all came back full circle. You know, it's funny because even my friends, when I told my friends I was leaving, they were all, it's stupid. Right. Nowadays, you know, one of my best friends, like, you know, he was like, you know, like, I believe God told you that you were supposed to leave, because look at you now. You know, like I see where you're at. Like I see, you know, like the business you own. I see what you're pouring in. Like I see, you know. Yeah. So for me, that's like, yeah. And I told him, I was like, bro, I'm doing it for God, and you're gonna see the fruit of it. because with God, there's fruit. There's going to be, whether, maybe the world doesn't recognize it or maybe they do, but there's always going to be fruit when you follow God. And I feel like that's stepping into God's purpose is when he asks you to give up that thing, because that was the start of Abraham's journey with God. Like that was the start, so that was the test.
Right.
And I feel like everybody once in their life has that test, where God's asking them, like, give this to me, like I have better, of those who are like trying to follow God.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like I'm going through that right now, man. So without a doubt, I think another cool thing is that what God does for you, especially if you have the ability to reflect, it's like, oh, that's why you didn't want me to do that. That's why you didn't want me to do that. Oh, that's why I didn't work out with that girl. Oh, he does such a good, like he does such a good job of just showing you, like, look, a lot of the stories that we have, we think that we're like the only people that are going through stuff. It's like we read the Bible, you're like, man, they're going through this back then. What? And you're like, yeah, man, God has a plan, and he's gonna show you what he really wants you to do. So I think that's just such a great thing. But I just think that's a great thing, man.
It's really heartwarming.
Yeah, really heartwarming. Yeah.
Like, oh, you care? Oh, okay.
So let's talk about, okay, you are in a young marriage, man. Let's talk a little bit about that. And a lot of your content has to do with like being equally yoked and stuff like that. So how did you and Petrina get back together? How did it turn into a marriage? How are you guys in a house together? Tell me more about that.
Okay. So should I hit the backstory of how we broke up? Because that's how we got back together.
Yeah. Let's hit the backstory.
Okay, so I first got with Trina like 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got with her, like all we would do is literally we would like go to each other's houses and we would watch sermons. It was the most holiest thing like you could ever possibly imagine.
Right.
And at that time, I had the strongest conviction from God. God kept telling me, break up with her. Over and over and over and over again. So at first I felt conviction. I didn't know what the conviction was for. I was like, God, like, what is it? Like, search me. Like, what am I doing wrong? And then eventually he revealed, like, I don't want you to be with her right now. But for me, like, I idolized her over God. So I ignored that conviction. I just kept pushing forward. Like, when I tell you it was the strongest conviction I ever felt in my life, it was like strong enough that I wake up and like I would feel the weight of the conviction. Like it was like I wake up and that's all on my mind. Like, don't, like, stop. Like, what are you doing? Stop. And that was for 9 months. 9 months of straight conviction. I'm like, I can't, like, I would feel so empty inside because of the conviction that when the only time when I didn't feel empty is when I hung out with her. Otherwise, like, I'm feeling empty. And so, yeah, bro, like there's times I was in the car and like I was just obeying God for 6 months and he was like, stay away from her. Like he was very clear, very loud about what he wanted. But for me, it was like, at first I didn't understand, but then over time I was like, 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 I'm gonna extend this as far as I can, because I was falling in love with her,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, God was just telling me, bro, like over and over again. Like it was haunting, it was very, very haunting. But not in a bad way. It wasn't like a demonic haunting. It was just like God was just kept telling me, like it was very important that I got the message, and I did, and I chose what I chose. So, like it was to the point where, like, 8 months later, I'm on the floor of the bathroom of a church, and I'm crying out to God, like, God, I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. Like I can't break up with her. Like I can't, like, I know what you're telling me, but I can't. I'm not. So very, very empty period of my life, but I did really get to know Trina. So I went to this youth group, right? And somebody, the youth pastor was like, yo, somebody's in here needs to give up something for God and hasn't been giving up for God. And God's telling you, like, in order to step into your purpose, you got to give that thing up, right? So that was a word for me. So I heard it, and like it was like God numbed me. Like I was just numb. I was like, I know what I. It was like I know what I need to do. Like it's one of those things where like you just like I don't know. He just numbed my like flesh. Like it was like he just like let me borrow this real quick. Yeah. So see. So I went to the youth pastor and I said, yo, like God's telling me to break up with my girl. You know, I've been with her for this amount of time. Like, and he's like, if that's what God's saying, then you do what God's saying. So I did that. I took her home. This is about to be a little crazy story, but I went and took her home. You know, we were crying, right? She told me that she's been having that same burden feeling on her as I was having it. So God was telling both of us, you know, obviously like, you know, like he's going to put that more on me because I'm like the lead in the relationship, you know, and he's telling me like how to lead us, and I'm not doing that. So we break up, we have this crying moment, like, oh my God, like God is evil, whatever. Not God's evil, but like, okay,
I know
you know,
what you mean.
like God, you know, like up until around that period, I'm like, God wanted me to leave UCLA. God wanted me to leave my girlfriend. God, I was like, God, like, you don't want me to be happy. Okay, I'll be a freaking robot and I'll pray all day. But let's see. Yeah, so this is my, like probably one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me. When after I broke up with her, I ordered an Uber. I don't know if Trina already told you the story.
I don't know if she has. I don't think so.
But the Uber came, and right when I got into the Uber, I felt the Spirit of God, and the Uber said, because you have obeyed God, he's going to bless you. So that's the first thing the Uber driver says.
That's insane.
Yes, I get in the car, and that's what the Uber driver says. Uber driver has never met me before. I've never seen them. I don't know anything about their life, and that's what they say. First thing, because you have obeyed God, you are going to be blessed. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like shocked, like, yo, like what?
Yeah.
And then she was saying that like she was on the street and God told her, go back the other way and wait for somebody to come and tell them this. So she went back the other way. I pinged up on her phone, and then she was like, and then he was like, tell them, you know, because you've obeyed, you will be blessed. Right. So she did that. And yeah, so she picked me up. We started driving to the house. And on the way, like she was just prophesying, she was just speaking life into me. You know, like very prophetic. And there's points where like, you know, I'm a doubter, you know, like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm a doubter, you know, like I see what's happening before me, but I'm thinking like, yo, like, are you like, did someone like, you know, like, well, how did you get here?
Yeah.
But then she said one thing, she said, God's gonna play your favorite song. Right. And I was like, what? She's like, God can play your favorite song. So she went to Spotify, she prayed, and then she pressed the song. And lo and behold, that was my favorite song. So I was like, okay, this is freaking crazy. And while we were driving home, like her phone GPS just stopped working. Like it was like we tried everything. We tried using my phone.
Yeah.
Like we just like couldn't get home. So like I guess God wanted us to stay out longer. So during that period of time, we were just driving forward and just talking about God. And, you know, she really introduced me to, you know, like the spiritual and like she just like put me on game, you know, like she told me how to like, you know, fight battles and in the spirit realm, and, you know, about like the small things that a lot of Christians don't know about the spirit realm, and, you know, how to operate and just like what's going on over there. You know, just a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And so she became my mentor. And you know, she led me into a lot of things. She led me into like speaking in tongues, fasting for a long time. So just like really growing my faith, and growing my recognition of how God moves so much on the earth, and how like a lot of Christians are very unaware of that and unaware how present God is.
So listen to this, man. I think this is I want to thank God right now for this podcast and for the time that it came. So beginning of quarantine, God told me to do the same thing with my girlfriend, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
I know the feeling, man. I feel you, bro. It'd be hard, man.
So then God told her, like, I kid you not, like a month ago, here, when I've already moved into Dallas to leave. And that's what she did. So I'm like, all right, Lord. I'm like, was she not the one? Or what were we saying here? He's like, no. He's like, I told you last year. Yeah, you needed to give her up to me.
You had a chance.
Yeah, he's like, I gave you a chance. And he's like, now this one's going to hurt. So I'm like, yeah, it hurts. And I'm like, well, I'm just like amazed right now. So yeah, dude, I 110% feel you, bro. I 110% feel you. And I was introduced to spiritual warfare probably like 2.5 years ago. This evangelist, his name's John Ramirez. He was once like this. He was a high priest for the Satanic Church, or whatever. And then he turned his life to Christ. And I would listen to him, and I'm like, guys, this dude, like, I would pray to him, like, is he like full of crap and stuff like that? And God's like, no, man, you don't understand the type of battles that are fought every day. And you
imagine how hard he's targeted. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's exposing everything. Like, he's like freeing people as he talks. Like, he probably wakes up at night with like
seriously,
like he's like praying every moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has to stay prayed up. You know what I'm saying? He has to stay prayed up like hard.
And so God told me before I moved here the first week of July, or the second week of July. He told me, I'm putting you on a rocket ship. He told me this in like April. So like right before I like interviewed Petrina, I was like, I'm putting you on a rocket ship. So buckle up. He said it will be rough, but wait till you see the destination. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means, but I hear you. And now I'm like, God, this is rough. Like, what are you doing? I thought you loved me, man. What did you do, man? Like, and it's like, I can't really complain about much either, though, too, because like everything's been taken care of. Like, Lord's been blessed me, man. So I'm like, but dang, it's still rough, man. You gotta do this to me like this.
It'd be rough, but I think the rough is when he molds the character, you know, because if he just gave it to you, you know,
most people don't know how to act. So yeah, you gotta trust God's time, and that's really what it is.
Facts, big facts.
Let's talk about some music, man. So when did you get into oh, sorry, wait. I messed it up. So you talked to this lady about, spiritual warfare and whatnot. How long were you with her? Like for hours, or like how long were you guys like hanging out?
I got back at like 3, and I probably like left at like 10. So it was a long time.
Yeah. So some hours. So after learning that, and did you realize that you were under? It sounds like you were under attack when you got into UCLA. So did you realize that or no?
I didn't care. I'm telling you, like I get another persona. I don't care. Like I don't care. I'm hard.
Right.
I'm cool. I'm hard. I don't care, bro. I don't need that, bro. I started switching up my language, you know what I'm saying? Like, straight, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just different type of ways I'd be talking, just trying to, be something I'm not, to be like, respected, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's like a whole like science to it, you know what I'm saying? Like, like underdogging somebody, like trying to one up on somebody when you're around girls, you know what I'm saying? Like that is known, like, like, oh, like push them down, you come up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different ball game on the other side, bro. It's like, you watch Star Wars?
Yep.
It's like the dark side and the good side, the Jedis, and I was feeling like I was training to be an apprentice of the dark side. Like I felt like I got my lightsaber. I was like, yeah, I'm going to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's literally in my mind, like what was happening.
Yeah.
Because I was high all the time, like my mind was really creative. And so like, I'm like, damn, I'm on the dark side right now. Like, like I'm training with like my, what do they call it?
The Sith Lord.
The Sith Lord. I'm training with like Zook, like Count Zook or something like that, whatever. Like I'm training with him, and he's like, it's my cousin, but he's like teaching me, like I'm influenced by him. I'm copying his actions because like what he had at the time is what I wanted. He had money. He had like girls went crazy over him. Like, and it wasn't even because of his looks, it was because of his persona. Like his persona was like, a lot
He's
of
like
girls
that guy.
like, yeah, but it's like a lot of those type of girls fall for like the bad guy, for that bad persona, like, you know what I'm saying, like how he carry himself, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to become. Wait, wasn't the original question how did I get married?
Yeah. So
I'm off track.
no, you're fine. So we were talking about like, the split and everything. So then I was like just wondering, we got into that. So now we're going to how you got back together and how did you become married?
Okay, so during that period of time when I didn't break up with Trina, oh yeah, so after, okay, I'm so bad. God is so gracious, because after that experience with the Uber, right? You would think that like I'd be a changed man, right?
Right. Yeah.
I went right back to her in like 2 weeks. Like I don't know why God gives me blessings, bro. Because 2 weeks later, I'm back together with her. But this time, we're aware that God doesn't want us to be together. So it's like at that time, it was like, if we're already sinning, we might as well sin to the max, right? And so that's when we started having sex outside of marriage, doing different drugs, just doing all these different stuff, because it's like, yo, we're already sinning. You might as well go full force in it. Like why just dabble in sin? Like,
yeah, I get what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? So then God told me through my cousin, my hood cousin. And it's funny because God uses everybody to speak. He told my cousin, and my cousin told me, he's like, I don't know, bro. I just had a feeling like, like if you don't break up with Trina, something bad's gonna happen. He told me that. And like I felt the spirit of God. I'm like, yeah, you speak to everybody, you know what I'm saying? Speak to everybody.
He does.
So I heard that and I was like, oh. And lo and behold, a month later, something happened, and that's Trina's side to tell you, like she ever wants to tell you, but like I don't want to like, so we something happened, and we broke up, and it was one of the most painful things ever. Like I was very heartbroken. Like I just didn't like her at the time. Like I didn't want to be around her. I totally like I cut everything off, and that was right before I went to UCLA. So like I cut her off, and I went to UCLA. So now I'm like trained by my
cousin.
My cousin. I'm not in a relationship anymore, and like I'm going to UCLA. So it was just like I know I was heartbroken. I was really heartbroken.
Yeah.
And so I remember when I was heartbroken, my cousin was there. Like that's how I started following him, because my cousin was there, and he picked me up and he was like, I got you, bro. Come here, smoke this blunt. It's gonna make you feel fine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's when anyways, I again went through the whole UCLA period of time. And then I haven't talked to her. I haven't thought about I did not I thought I was never gonna see her again, right? Like I'm telling you, like I did not like her. She was public enemy number one. She was an op in my mind. So the day I was deciding to leave UCLA and to tell my mom, I heard a thought in my head, and it said call Trina, but it was like stronger than my other thoughts. So I was like, God. And then
yeah. I know
nah,
what you mean.
nah. And it was like, call Trina. It's like, God. I was like, nah, bro, I'm tripping. Like, I just want to call her. But I was like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't want to call her. I don't want to talk to her. I haven't wanted to talk to her for this last year. Why would I want to call her? Then I just felt call her. And so it was the most awkwardest conversation I've ever experienced in my life. Because I called her and I was like, yo, like, how's it going? And she was like, hey. And I was like, how are you doing? And she would like wait 2 minutes before she would say something. Like it would be 2 minutes of silence. I'll be like, I'm doing good. Why are you calling me? I'm like, I just felt like I should call you. Anyways, we like, it was a long conversation, and we finally like warmed up a little bit.
Right.
And she finally told me that like her experience with Capitol Records just, like giving up for God. And that's when I transformed. And that was the moment I was like, yo, my eyes are open. I see that, God, I see that the importance of God and how you carry God. And I want that. So then I was, so after that, I didn't talk to her for a long time. Right. And so I went to Zusa and at that moment, I heard a thought in my head and it said, that's your wife. Okay. So for me at that point, I was like, I couldn't really tell if it was God or not. Like it was kind of like similar. And I was like, like, I don't really know what it is. But I kind of held on to that. And just over time, like I went to Zusa, that's the school she went to, so over time, like, like we get closer and, we feel like God wants us just to get married. And
right on.
God healed my hurt from her, like he just like took it away, like he, made us brand new. And, when she went to Africa, he was like, marry her. I was like, okay. Like,
Right on.
okay. Like, why not? Like, cause at the point, I'm telling you, once I gave up UCLA, like my whole like stance on how I treat God changed, because it was like, that was probably the biggest thing. Besides leaving Trina, like the UCLA thing is because girls are girls, you know what I'm saying? Like there's always going to be another girl, but
right.
that one chance for UCLA, like giving that up was like my big, like, here, have my life, have my wealth, have my future, have my success, have my connections, have everything that I ever dreamed of. Here you go. Whatever. What do you want? You know what I'm saying? I'm still on that kind of like mindset. I'm like, F it, bro. Like, like not even meaning to like curse, but like, that's literally how my mind is. It's like, you want this? Okay. Here you go. Oh, you want that? Okay. Like just kind of just go like, literally like very, very, very heavenly minded, and I don't care about anything here. Like, I don't, I just want to, I definitely find myself idolizing something. Like I find myself idolizing my business sometimes and idolizing like audio engineering, because I'm just really passionate about it.
Right.
But yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way. Well, I guess I could tell you my plans for my business. So I own a recording studio, right?
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of clients, I have a good amount of business. But over time, I remember God told me, like, change your audience, change your artist. And that's a hard thing for me, because it's like, I'm making such good money off of people, like, and yeah, the content wasn't the best coming out here, not gonna lie, but, I've been feeling God been telling me, like, change your audience, change your artist. So in a couple months, I'm going to stop my business and I'm going to start going to churches. I'm going to start like trying to partnership with churches. Like I'm going to go to the church and be like, yo, like this is my vision. Basically, it's called Confirmation. And so Confirmation is going to be a group out in LA of Christian artists who meet up and who spend time recording and are making music for God. And eventually it'll become a label. But for right now, it's just an idea. But like the beginning of that idea is I'm going to go to churches and be like, I own this studio. Is there anybody in this church who likes to make music, and who, will worship God and while doing so? If so, like, if you can make that announcement in church and let them know that, like, I'm taking in clients. I mean, I'm taking in Christian clients, and free of charge. Like, you can come as much as you want as I make you. Like, I just want to just get that group together in LA. Like, I know there's people like me out here, and it's very rare, but that group, if, like, we're so powerless alone, but together, if I can just get like a group of like 20 or 30 like Christian artists together, and like consistent, like everybody's like following God at the same level. Everybody has the same mindset. Like, I do music and I'm in LA to make a change, right? It could do something. And so I kind of like had a word yesterday, like, um, like that was my revelation yesterday. That's what I recognize, I recognize like that's what my next steps are, like go create partnerships with churches and go allow people to come record in your studio and then create that, and I'll provide.
That's amazing, man.
So that's the goal. The goal is to create like a label out here. I wouldn't even say it's a label at first, but I will say that, like it's a commitment. Like if you're gonna be a part of confirmation, like you got to come to like our weekly Sunday Bible meetings, where we just discuss and where we do ciphers and we all just record and we just speak about God.
They got to be invested within it. It makes sense. So
yeah.
that's amazing, man. And to encourage you don't know how many people are in the church that are so gifted, in the arts and whatnot. And
churches don't have that resource. Like when has a church like been like, oh yeah, I have a recording studio, you can go record in here. So there's all this talent, these people who are in church who, when you're in church and you're all about God, you don't usually think like, I'm gonna go record a song. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like I sing on my free time with God more than like it's my actual business, except for like probably like the worship people on the team, like the actual worship leaders of it. But a lot of people in the church have been like implanted with ideas and like stuff that God has given them. And it's like, they don't have that resource. They don't have that out push to like record it. You know what I'm saying? Like God just gave you an idea and you wrote it down and you're sitting on it, or God gave you an idea and you're going to go into a worldly studio and let whatever's in there stop you from creating what God wants you to create. Nah, like I want to bless the ground. I want to bless this air. I want to fill this up with worship. And I want you to come in here. I want you to feel God's presence. And I want you to go in there. And I want you to speak what God made, so.
That's real freedom too. Like that's one thing. That's real freedom. And that's the other thing I was going to say is like, if you do have talent within the church, there aren't any opportunities like that. They're going to go to something that is worldly, and then they're going to be shaped. They're going to be shaped up to be whatever they want them to be to make money off of them. So I think it's like, when Jesus, taught the fishermen how to fish, right? Is that the correct thing? I'm asking you.
It sounds right. It sounds right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and then that's what we're trying to do here too. Is like we want to give people for what's out. We want to give people an outlet to actually express themselves, because a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So it's like, hey man, I love it.
Why? Especially in the church, like the church is so focused on the church that like there's so many things that they can do to impact the world, like in a different way. Because what is influencing our kids the most? It is the music. It is the music and the stuff that we watch. You know what I'm saying? You got little kids watching WAP. You got little kids watching Lil Nas X. You got little kids like looking up to these rappers, especially in the Black community. You got these young kids who don't have fathers. And what's the next place they're looking? They're looking to people who are playing basketball because that's their representation. And they're looking at people who are making music, right? And so if they're following the people who are making music, like that is like they're getting taught by the music. The music says F that bit, like whatever, like smoke weed, like, and that's and they see in their minds that's why they're successful. That's why people are following them. They see like people like them. That's what they're gonna want to be. And so like I feel like our whole Black youth is just following in the footsteps of what's cool and like what like what people are talking about. You know what I'm saying? But I think there's so much hypocrisy in rap music, and I always think this all the time, because it's like, yo, you want to talk about killing somebody, you want to talk about murder, but the moment your brother's dead, you's crying, you's on the floor. Like, it's hypocritical. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hypocritical as hell, because it's like you're putting out all this negativity in the world, and yeah, you might just do it for fun, but somebody else is getting impacted by that negativity. There's a spirit, you're putting a spirit out, and people are getting affected by that. There's kids growing up listening to you, and like they're not going to have the same life as you. They're not going to get famous like you. They're going to live the lifestyle that you're living right now, and they're going to be broke. They're going to be deadbeats, and they're going to be like absent fathers, right? Living that lifestyle. Because if you're treating women how they're telling you to treat women in songs, you know what I'm saying? Like, one, you're going to get around and you're going to get somebody pregnant, and two, you're not going to stay. And so we just want to keep the generational cycle running and running and running. And I'm not saying that, music is a big part of it. Obviously, like, how we got set up, slavery times and how we just like redlining everything, like just in poverty. But music does, we continue, we're not elevating, we continue to just sit in this like disgust, like it's like how is our, like we talk, it's hypocritical. I'm going off because like, like even Lil Baby, bro, Lil Baby's my favorite artist, right? And he's talking about, like he made a song about like Black Lives Matter or something like that, like for the cops. And I'm like, yo, like you're saying that now, but like in your music, you talk about killing people all the time. Like you talk about popping people. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, and I don't know, bro. It's like, how do we get to the point in society where talking about taking somebody else's life is cool? Like, how do we get to that? Like, how is that possible? Like, it's just confusing to me. Like back then, the 70s, 60s, 50s, I mean, like, I'm not saying there wasn't any of that, but like Black people were making love music. You know what I'm saying? Like it was mostly like love music, like Temptations and, like just trying, I don't know how we got here, but my thing is that I have to agree that most worldly music, because of the outlets and because of, like they have friends who are producing, and then now they got a friend who has a mic, and now so they're practicing all the time. And I feel like in the church, they don't offer that same opportunity, right? Because if we had everybody in the church who was semi-talented working for 3 years, only making music and really pushing for God, guess what? They're going to be that just as good. You know what I'm saying? Because I do agree. The worldly music is I'm gonna say it's better. It's not better, but it is like more better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like it is better, like because they actually like
they take their craft, they put time and effort and research and all that,
and they have a lot of different opportunities. And for a lot of Christian rappers, like I don't know. I just want to be a bridge, and I this is the beginning. One day I hope to make enough to open up a whole fat building where it's just like a Christian, like artist central, where like Christian artists from all around, people just turn to Christ, can come. You can learn about God. You can learn about walking. There's like you like it's kind of like a church, but it's mostly like centered around like being an artist. It's kind of like a training school for being an artist for God. Like, hey, bro, like, what I'm saying? Don't curse on that song, bro. Like, like we're trying to, what I'm saying? Like, just like, if we put all the Christian artists together, right? Especially in LA, we put like, at least 15, right? We're all going to inspire each other. We're all going to make each other go harder. But I feel like it's so spread out. Like this guy's over here, this guy's over here, and we're not in contact with each other. And I feel like the world is so much more in contact with each other. There's people reaching out, but we're like we're going on our own, like one-on-one. And it's like, yo, like let's combine forces. I only know like one other Christian artist. How's that possible?
Right. That's kind of weird.
Like one, right? And I know I know there's not one, but God has implanted. I feel like this. I wouldn't say these are. I'll say these are like the end days, and I think that God's trying to equip. That's why I left at Azusa. God told me not to go back to Azusa, so I left because He wants me to start this, and that's what I'm gonna do to my fullest. Like, because the thing is, it's not about money. It's not about engineering. It's not about any of this. It's literally about what we can do for God. And the thing about this is kind of cool because it's like, whoa, I can make music sound cool and be on fire for God.
That's amazing.
Like, so I'm really excited. I know it's gonna be rough, like kind of what you're saying, like the rough period, like, churches probably aren't gonna accept the deal at first. We just gotta keep pushing. And like if God put it on my heart, and I got counsel behind me, my wife, and my other friend, her name is Allie. God told her to leave MIT to do this, so she left the best school in the world,
right,
to do this, right? God equipped us. God equipped us with like financial people who just dropped out of school too. So like we have this group of collectives of people coming together who all just dropped out of school, and we're like, what's next? Because everybody got hurt from God. And so I don't know, like if, one day this does become a big thing, we can always look back and remember like, yo, like, I'm just in my small little studio right now, and there you go. Like God's gonna provide, and shoot, yeah.
No, I feel you, man. I was gonna say one thing.
I
When
was going on.
no, bro, hey, I'm letting you dude. This is your interview, man. You go off, bro. Like, especially like because I love to see the excitement, especially when you talk about your business plan and what you see and how you want to like how it's with God's plan as well. You know what I'm saying? I feel the exact same way. So seeing someone else have that same type of enthusiasm is like inspirational. So I'm all ears for that. I was gonna say just a carry on to what you were saying when it comes to the music industry. As I've like become more aware of spiritual warfare and stuff like that, man, it's kind of taught me a lesson about like the devil and what the enemy, right? So I mentioned this to Petrina. So when she was offered this deal, it's like, this deal to be, made almost, we always like the devil can offer you all of the world's desires, right? And we're like, oh man, like it's usually hyped up by most people. And it's like, yeah, man, you need to go. Like even like UCLA, right? It's just hyped up and like you want it, you really want it. And like I made this correlation of like, a record deal with all the success or UCLA with all the success is like, for the longest, I used to be a Playboy Cardi fan. I used to be so obsessed with when is Whole Lot of Red coming out? Is it coming out? I'll be on Reddit and all that. Then it finally comes out, and it comes out on Christmas Day. The Lord definitely convicts me, and He's like, "You're not listening to this." And I was like, "All right, I won't listen.
I won't listen for a long time. I just hear what it sounds like on the outside."
Let me hear. Then my buddies send me a text. Hey, did you listen to the album? I'm like, so I ended up folding. I listened to the album, and then it was just completely flat. And I was like, oh wow. And I was like, that's what the enemy does to us. Like he'll hype you up, he'll mess you up, he'll make you turn away from God for mediocre. And then you're like, oh wow, like I thought this was supposed to be amazing. Like, there's millionaires and billionaires who like still have no purpose, or like Tom Brady who has all his rings. He has no purpose. He still feels empty. You're like, what in the world? And it's like, yeah, man.
All this and I still don't feel,
Yeah, it's like, dude, when God gives it to you, it's just so organic and it's just so genuine and it feels better, if you know what I'm saying.
I do. Well, I'm turning on the air conditioner. It got hot in here.
Oh no, you're fine, man. You're fine. So let's talk about some music, man. So we've already talked about a business plan and everything. So you said that you have a new you're gonna have a new song out possibly with Caleb Gordon. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
See, Caleb Gordon, he was how I ended up finding you guys. I would the algorithm on TikTok. You start following, you start liking certain things, and then you guys popped up, and that's also one thing that the Lord has told me. Dude, we got a lot of similar things, man. The Lord told me that when my girl that she was gonna be my wife, but He's like, you gotta become equally yoked. You guys gotta like come together and me. And He's like, you guys gonna have to start fresh. You guys have to you guys are gonna have to completely start over again. So it's like, okay, I understand you. So dude, it's been an amazing conversation, man. And dude, like you're awesome, bro. That's all I can say, man. You're an awesome dude. And,
you're awesome.
even a little section like this is like, you're still young, but this like what 3-4 years this is a movie right here. Let me tell you. So keep it up, man. That's all I really have to say, bro. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Like, I'm all ears, whatever you want to say. Like, is there anything?
Shoot, that's pretty much it. Like I got the business. I talked about the song coming out. I'm gonna film a music video with him, and he's gonna come out. And I'm actually trying to book shows for both of us. So he told me, he reached out and he was like, yo, I'm about to call him right after this, but he told me like, yo, like I can stay out there. I can stay with you for like a week. Like just got to get, like try to like book people around in the churches. Right. So like, okay. And then we're going to perform. So Trina and I and him and whoever else, we're going to try to perform at these different youth groups, these different like churches. So that's going to be very, 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 very fun. Very excited for that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Word, man. Hey, dude. I just want to let you know, man. Since I met your wife, man, I've been praying for you guys, man. Praying for some success, dude. I follow you guys, and
Thank you.
I will always be a supporter of you guys. So if you guys ever need anything, if you just want to hit me up, talk, whatever, man.
Ross, I'll send you some songs and ask your opinion.
Word, yeah, dude. I love listening to music, man. I appreciate the time, Justin, man. Without a doubt, dude.
Appreciate you pushing for this, bro. Like you know, like yeah, I've been very busy, and I appreciate you pushing for me, bro. Because you know, I'm not the best responder, and I'm not the best. I have some people in my, you know what I'm saying. So it's like I appreciate you pushing and reaching out. I really do.
Yeah, and dude, hey, it happened at the perfect time. So I appreciate it without a doubt, dude. So yo, it's been Xavier. Yeah, follow JBthaPreacher on everything, man. He's got Spotify, he's got Instagram, he's got TikTok. What else you got? You got anything else?
Yeah, that's pretty much. It's Instagram, TikTok. It's pretty much. It's Spotify, I have Apple Music, YouTube. It's all there. I also have a bunch of music videos I can release. So I'm trying to do that too. But yeah.
Well, check him out, you guys. He's a homie of mine now. We just met, and that's how things go. So I've been Xavier.
Bro, give me your number, bro.
Oh, I am.
Afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna give it to you right after this, but yeah, we're out.